Hello, friends. It's Bryon Morrison with Proxxy, your executive multiplier. This month, for the leaders list, we're examining employee engagement. February is the month where CEOs start thinking about, am I getting people engaged in the winter months, through the doldrums, through the pandemic and quarantine? So we've talked to several different experts on the subject. Today, I'm thrilled to interview Tony Amador, the chief of staff for Proxxy. He's got 18 years of consumer market research, and so he's got a really interesting perspective on how to get data, but also how to use the data and implement it as a chief of staff. So I hope you enjoy it. Everybody, welcome Tony Amador. Tony, I'm CEO of a SMB, small to medium sized business. I'm an executive that wants to understand if we have employee engagement. And so I could go anywhere in the organization, but why do I go to the chief of staff? And how does the chief of staff get me started?
Yeah, I think you go to the chief of staff because we're responsible for knowing everyone and being connected everywhere and being the eyes and ears of the CEO. And so part of that is we're already listening, we're already paying attention. And then it's really that thing of the place to start is to figure out what do you have and what don't you have. So one of the first things I find out is, are we doing any kinds of surveys? Are we doing project-based surveys every month? Are we doing an overall employee engagement survey where we actually are measuring to find out how engaged our employees are? So the first thing I tend to talk about is let's get an employee engagement survey out there where we can measure, find out how we're doing on the key attributes that matter to employee engagement, right? That's all been studied and tested. And so it doesn't take very many questions to do that. It's a pretty quick survey, but it gets to those things that basic needs, individual needs, team needs, and then overall growth needs that people have, if you think about just the needs of people, right? And so if we can get that measured, and we're going to identify what they're doing well, and then also where the improvement opportunities are, then we have some place to start. Right now we can celebrate what we're doing well and start thinking about those improvement opportunities. So when we get those results from that first quant, there may be 2 or 3 items that we know what they say on the survey, but we really need to know what they mean. So then it becomes, let's dig deeper, because what we're needing to do now is come up with improvement opportunities, improvement priorities. And so, because we're also going to communicate that to the staff. We're going to tell them, hey, you said we're doing this well. You said we're not doing, we're listening. And that's a big part of employee engagement, right? Is the company is listening. We care what you say. So my role, again, as the chief of staff, that's a part of my role sometimes, is helping with the vision and mission, helping make sure everyone's very clear about that. And so if we know that that's one of the things that has to get communicated, well, then that works its way into every town hall, every all hands, is that we've got to hit on for 5 minutes. We've got to make sure we're reinforcing the vision and mission. And so again, the chief of staff is in this great spot to say, here's the agenda for that next all hands meeting. Wait, don't forget, we got to get this in there. Where the CEO is thinking about all these other things that they feel like they've already handled that, the chief can make sure that gets talked about if we're talking about vision and mission. Okay. To give you another example, it might be that we just find out that we're just not communicating clearly. We're not keeping everyone informed on what's going on with the business, whether that's new business opportunities, whether that's what we're going to do in the future. We kind of one time talked about buying a company. Is that still happening? So again, we start doing employee engagement. That's uncovering all of those different issues. And so anything we need to do about communication, again, the chief of staff's in this great spot to help with communication. And
You know what I love about that though, Tony? Those aren't necessarily formal plans. That's fantastic communication. And a lot of times people misunderstand. We say employee engagement and people go, oh, a program. And
right.
what you're talking about is employee engagement as the brand, and the CEO's connection to those individuals to bring them along with them.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
I mean, well, and that's really the thing, Bryon. I mean, to your point about what employee engagement is, it's a whole bunch of things, right? So you had that conversation with Mike May about rewards and recognition. That's absolutely part of employee engagement. But part of employee engagement too is process improvement. Because if people don't feel like you're fixing things, and it's always going to be broke, and we're just in Groundhog Day all the time, well, then they're not going to be as engaged, and they're going to look to other places. Because again, when I think about employee engagement, it's very much about keeping people, right? You want them both to stay with your company and to do their very best work. So if they stay and they want to do great work, you're going to get great success from that, and a happy employee is a happy customer. We all believe in that with service profit chain, but there's so many parts to it, and part of it, so morale is a big piece of it. Recognition is certainly a piece, but again, understanding the vision and mission of the company is a piece of it. So there are times when it is a big initiative, right? So it can be big. It can also just be that the CEO doesn't say the right things, or doesn't show their recognition, doesn't show their appreciation. So it can just be as simple. It can be those little things of, hey, make sure you send a note. I mean, we found things in the surveys before of, I don't even know if anybody knows when my anniversary is, right? And so that's an easy one where we go put on the CEO's calendar. The chief goes and puts on the calendar everybody's anniversary. And on that day, maybe the CEO writes it, maybe the chief writes it, we don't know, but it's coming from the CEO. But so that's happening, right? So that's on their calendar. And then we just take care of that. And now people feel like, oh, you're paying attention, right? It's my anniversary. Yeah. And those things, again, all of the leaders started doing those meetings, and then they're uncovering more issues, whether it's COVID related, this is really hard to be working from home, or whether it's, whatever it is about the team, about my life, about whatever, or they didn't have the right things they needed. One of the companies, they found out that people didn't have all the tools they needed at home. So then we figured out how to make sure we got you the monitor that you used to use at the office. Well, let us get you a monitor. Let us get you that right mouse. Let us get you that cord that you need, whatever that was. Again, just to make the morale the best it can be, so that employees are as engaged as they can be.
One of the things I know we've been talking about is clients are saying, I got to get people back in my office. I have the space. I believe in having people in that space, and it makes sense. And we're going to do it differently, but how can I bring them together?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of clients that are in that space where the leader really believes in the power of the together, right? The staff may or may not believe in that anymore. And the leader has a reason for that, right? That together, we're stronger together. And people will get to that place too, where they realize they miss their team, they miss working on a brainstorm together and all those things. But to get over that hump, one of the things that we're talking about with a client is, let's have a kind of re-immersion program, like a re-immersion big party kind of celebration where we remind everyone how great it is to be together. And so, we brought an idea to one of our CEOs about that, because he really does. And again, I don't want to overstate this. The team understands and misses each other and wants to be together, but it's that balance, right? So then if you show them and you remind them how great we are together when we're in the same space, it has a big impact.
And of course, it has to be thoughtful, and it has to be safe. And so, like, we can't give away what we did, but man, it's such a cool idea. We'll have to share that at a later date.
I really just think the big thing is measure, make sure and make sure you measure at some interval that you can know that you're improving, right? Just the fact that you're doing a survey shows them it matters. But then when you do the survey, find the things you need to work on those, and then celebrate those wins. Man, it just starts building on itself in a way that that you just can't quite imagine until you see it happen. Yeah. And so super rewarding. So
yeah,
great that's for them, awesome, of course. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. So that's great summary. Great point to bring up. Like, let's actually use data. Don't do it because it's one of those things that we've got to have a team building thing. Why? How's it going to make an impact? Awesome work. Thanks so much, Tony.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Talk to you later.
You know what I love about that? Tony's got access to a catalog of employee engagement programs that we use and we know that work. But the important thing to take away from that is his first move is to listen, gather data, and then attack the specific problem. So if it's not necessary to do a team building process, then how are you reinforcing the vision, the mission, the brand? So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to the Leaders List, and we look forward to seeing you next time.